I'm Daniel Garang, a journalist with the radio community, and as I shared with you earlier, we have this program called the Voice of Peace program, so where we bring in experts to interact together with citizens on issues to do with constitution-making process, elections, and the implementation of the Revitalized Peace Agreement. You can introduce yourself.
Thank you, Garang Daniel, and I'm Jackline Nasiwa. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Inclusive Governance, Peace and Justice. It's an honor to be with the radio community.
Thank you, Jackline. The discussion today is actually based on the principle of constitutionalism as parts of the constitution-making process discussions. Tell us about the constitution-making process that is ongoing right now.
The constitution is very important, and many people keep asking, what is a constitution? Why are we talking about the constitution? And I would like to say that this becomes a mirror where we see ourselves. It helps us to see ourselves that this is us and this is our laws, and it is reflective of who we are. In terms of the principles, there are quite a number of principles. One is that a constitution should be able to reflect the views of the people. And in our context, it says the will of the people. Our constitution is founded on the will of the people. We have what we call the Bill of Rights, and it is talking about the fundamental rights for citizens. And then also it should be able to promote our diversity. A constitution should also be able to define who we are. I keep asking South Sudanese, is that we are not able to define who we are. For some countries, for example, they have slogans, and in their slogans or mottos, they have maybe for God and my country, in God we trust, Inshallah.
Given the explanation of all this, how does this impact on the lives of the people?
I think legitimacy of a constitution is very important. And this means that attention should be given to what people want to see. South Sudanese is that we never had a permanent constitution. A permanent constitution is forever. It's like a Bible. But when you have the transition, it's for a defined period of time. When we got independence, we had the transitional constitution, which was to take us to independence as an independent state. We are now a nation. We come with a constitution that will govern us as a nation. When we talk about permanent constitution, it's the constitution of the Republic of South Sudan. It will not be called transition or interim. It is now the constitution of the Republic of South Sudan. Leaders will come, leaders will go. Generation will come, generation will go, but we have our constitution. That will guide us as a country.
And looking at the two constitutions, the one that we're talking of making and the one that we have at the moment, looking at the contents of the constitutions, are there major things that are not okay with the current constitution and need to be well addressed in the permanent constitution?
I think there are quite a number. From 2012, I worked with closely with the National Constitutional Review Commission. There were 13 thematic areas that could be reviewed. One thing I keep saying is that our constitution should be able to define our boundaries as a nation. South Sudan, we are faced with a lot of border issues, international border issues, with Kenya, with Uganda. But we have border issues, and we need to clearly define that. And that means our permanent constitution should resolve these issues and clearly define where we are. The other issue that for us women, we feel the constitution need to address is the Bill of Rights on women's rights. So we have specific provisions that do not favor women. And one of it is in terms of the family law. It's talking about marriageable age, and that anyone of marriageable age can marry someone of the opposite sex, and based on our tradition and cultures. When you look at that provision, our cultures can say someone of 13 years can be married, someone of 15 years can marry. And that does not help us in terms of protection of women against gender-based violence. And finally, I could say is the issue of governing. We are going for elections. How should our elections be conducted? And I think I'm one of those who say we cannot really afford to go for elections without a constitution. Bodies or positions that need to be elected. The other aspect of the elections in relations to constitution is that we need to be able to manage electoral violence. When it's in the constitution that electoral violences could be managed maybe through judicial process or through tribunal or through this process, and then it is clearly demarcated. The Elections Act should be reflective of what is in the Constitution, because the Constitution is defining who is to be elected and how should that be done. And the Constitution should be supreme. The person may want to go to Supreme Court. Are these ones in the Elections Act? Or they should be in the Constitution. And I think as a new country, we need to start in a good footing, where we even have term limits. Have term limits, 2-3 terms, or we can say 4 years or 5 years.
And looking at all this that you've just explained, they are very important, yes, but there is an issue with the time. People are saying that constitution is taking time. One MP was like, it might even take 10 years to produce the constitutions. In such scenarios, what will be the issue? Yet we are left with only less than 13 months to go for election.
You know, when we have the will, things will happen. If we say we want to come out with a good constitution, next year we will come out with it. Are we consulting with the people and reflecting their views? And a constitution, I'm saying we should not politicize it. And the constitution is not for me, it's not for you, Garang, it's for the nation and the generation. And I would say that as civil society, we also analyze the time frame. We were suggesting for 16 months to come out with a good constitution. We already have the first steps gone, which is the constitutional workshop. And then Ministry of Justice has come out with the constitution-making process act. And that process, we suggested it should take at least 6 months, where they go to all the 10 states and the admin area, even including the diaspora consultations. And then they come out with their report. And it is taken to Parliament. And you know the parliamentary procedure. 1 month they will deliberate on it. And this Parliament will be turned into a constituent assembly, into the permanent constitution. So that means in between we have given room for some kind of report writing, for some time of drafting and all this process. It would be a mistake to rush the process without the citizens' views, but also based on experience of our climate and all this, we needed time to do the consultations. And I think most countries, they become fragile from lack of rule of law and lack of constitutionalism. But if we uphold our constitution and we plant the culture of constitutionalism, we can resolve most of the issues.
I know we'll have more discussions on things to do with the constitution-making action. What will be your advice to the citizen in regard to the constitution-making and how it is going at the moment?
Citizens have a crucial role to play in this constitution-making process. I will say that citizens need to understand what is in this current transitional constitution, what is in the peace agreement, and what is even the environment that we live in, and then come out with suggestions. Citizens can make submissions in 2 ways. One is verbal, and this verbal, maybe when there are meetings, when there are dialogues, seminars, and workshops on constitution, they can come and contribute. The other way is for them to make a written submission. And this written submission, they can sit as groups, agree, and then say, maybe our group of youth, this is what we want to see in the constitution. Different communities can come out with that. And for us women, we are also preparing to come with our own views on what we want to see.